rock and roll. All right, party time.
Godzilla says that I should learn to fight my own battles. No.
Hello, cadets. Welcome to another episode of the Big Monster Briefing Room. We are going to get mummified again today with another edition of another mummy movie. Most mummy movies are just called The Mummy. And this one is The Mummy. 1959 Hammer Films version of The Mummy with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. So let me bring up my able-bodied assistant, Major Millie Hazzard.
Thank you. Thank you for remembering. I got lots of degrees from real universities. You know, I want to challenge you to say mummy movie like 5 times fast. Can you say mummy movie?
Mummy movie, mummy movie, mummy movie, mummy movie, mummy movie.
Oh, see, that's because you're a general. You know, most guys wouldn't be able to do that. That's an amazing command of the
rubber baby buggy bumpers, rubber baby buggy bumpers. She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore.
I'm just so impressed right now.
The Green Queen seemed to scream. The Green Queen seemed to scream. I'm a pro at this.
I'm not, you know, I think it's all the time that you spent in acting classes when you were a youth. You know, when you were a youth, when you were.
Where did you get that information from?
Well, someone told me that at the academy, when you were in high school, those years, that you wanted to always be an actor, you know, but then you were busy doing other stuff and chasing monsters and you ended up here. But that's what I've heard through the grapevine, General.
Yeah, I spent a little time on the stage.
Yeah, you really liked it. And I heard you were really good. You had like leading man good looks, you know, and so you were getting all the great parts, getting all the girls. It's very cool.
I don't know about that part, but a skunk sat on a stump. The stump thought the skunk stunk. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Where's the pickled pepper? Now you got me. You were laughing. I could feel you doing this.
It's like you could.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. How many pickled peppers did Peter Piper pick? If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers that Peter Piper picked? Thank you.
You see, there's probably applause all the way. The cadets are probably applauding everything. And I'm sure Dr. Helen Park is our archaeologist expert today. You know, she's probably backstage very impressed right now.
Well, okay, let's bring her on up and we'll find out.
Let's bring her up, Dr. Helen Park. She has a PhD. She's an archaeologist. She's an expert on all things mummy. Let's see what's going on. Hi, Dr. Helen.
Hello.
I hear she does good accounting too.
Who, me? Oh, of course.
I heard through the grapevine. Little bird told me. So,
it's very nice.
So we're doing another mummy movie, and we thought we'd have you come in and comment with us on this particular training film, which was a Hammer film, The Mummy, 1959.
I'm delighted to be here.
Nice to have you here.
She's from England, everybody. That's like jolly old England. You know, you're very elite and elegant. I love the people over there, and I love the pudding that they have, and I love, you know, they say cheers. It's wonderful.
Now, do you like the meat pudding or the actual like the chocolate pudding?
I like the spotted dick, as they call it. It's called spotted dick.
The meat pudding.
It's a type of pudding. And
I'm sorry, meat should not be pudding. That's like meat should not be a milkshake. Okay.
Well, let's not attack her culture. That's her culture.
So meat pies, okay, I can do that every now and again. But anyway,
it's meat pudding. You know, it's meat pudding.
Again, this is a Hammer film shot at Bray Studios. This training film. It stars Peter Cushing, who many people know as Grand Moff Tarkin from the Star Wars films. It also stars Christopher Lee, who many know as Count Dooku from the Star Wars films. So, and where are you, Major, by the way?
I'm on special assignment right now, so I can't really tell you, but I will tell you it's nothing like the mummy. It's got something totally different. The one that I'm dealing with is definitely not dead at all. In fact, I'm hoping it would be dead, but I'm working on it. I'm your last defense, like I say in my headline here.
Okay. Very good. All right.
Thank you for asking.
Well, I was just curious. We were not seeing your picture, so that usually means you're on special assignment, and I was curious to know where you were. Okay. So this is in the desert of Egypt, 1895. There's a man's butt. I'm sorry, it's a very unflattering angle. And they blow up a section of rock that they suspect is a tomb of a famous princess, Egyptian princess, kind of like Cleopatra, but not as big. They find a special little Chotsky there that goes with that dynasty. It's a scarab. Am I correct, Dr. Park?
Yes, so far so good.
Very good.
You're doing very well.
Thank you. And his son is along, but he's got a bum leg. He hurt his leg. There he is, Peter Cushing. His name is John Banning. That's his father, the bald-headed guy who we saw his butt earlier. And the guy over his shoulder is his uncle. And his uncle says, you should send him back and have his leg worked on. Otherwise, he's going to have a bum leg the rest of his life.
But he did not listen. He did not
Well,
listen to
this
his
is exciting
father.
for them. They're adventurers. They're looking for mummies out in the desert. So they're close. So they're excited.
Yes, but like I said, he did not listen to his father, and he will eventually have a bad knee.
Yeah, bum leg, as we
Bum
call
leg,
it in the military.
Yes.
I had a friend who was discharged for a bum leg, but neither here nor there. So there's his uncle. His uncle says, "Look, you really should go back. You should get your leg work done." Why, we're so close. That's my Peter Cushing impression.
Have
We
you
are so
realized-
close. We need to move forward.
Did you realize that they're all sweaty? Must be
Yes,
so
well-
hot in Egypt.
It's very hot in the middle of the desert. Yes,
Yes.
it's true. Even he's sweaty, and he's an Egyptian. And he comes in. They always have one of these guys with the red fezes on, and it's the guy that's like leading the mummy around. We just know this from watching mummy movies.
I hope he's not a white person in makeup, because that
No,
would be
no.
offensive.
He looks like he's actually an Egyptian actor that they hired for the
okay.
the role in this training film.
Thank God, because that would be terrible, wouldn't it?
So
In
he looks
today's age.
Egyptian.
In
He doesn't
today's age,
look
if
like
he was white
I mean,
with
we can
makeup
usually spot, when they make somebody up as an Indian or
I
a
know.
Chinese
I
person
know.
or an Egyptian or something.
I
like
know.
that.
I was just saying that if they would have done something like that, it would be very offensive in year 2023.
Today, yeah.
Yes,
Back in that time,
No.
it happened quite often, actually. But these guys were actually classy enough to hire a real Egyptian actor to play the role. So they blow up the entrance to this rock formation. Sure enough, there is a tomb inside. So the father and the uncle go in. They break the seal. It is I believe it's the tomb of Ananka. I believe. Very impressive set piece here.
Well, I'm a little bit confused.
Okay.
Why do we see green lights in there?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, that's kind of odd.
Yes.
I've been to
uh,
Egypt and I've seen
maybe-
tombs and doesn't look like that. No.
Well, they did have a green scarab that they were holding. Maybe there's some of those green scarabs, close to the lights, and it's causing a green reflection there in the tomb. Best guess.
That's an explanation.
Best guess. But
Okay.
it does look very green in there. You're right. You're absolutely right. Or it should be pitch black. But wouldn't be much of a scene if we couldn't see anything. So
Right.
and it takes a lot of time to set up lights. So we're just cutting to the chase here.
Okay.
So they're very excited. They're the uncle's happy. The father's ecstatic. The guy outside not so happy. He was trying to stop them from doing this. Basically, they're grave robbers to him. They're desecrating a sacred place.
Well, he must have an agenda.
Well,
Think
goes without
about
saying.
it.
Goes without
He's
saying.
not. He doesn't work for the Egyptian government, so I would assume he has an agenda.
Yes, there's actually a god in this, an Egyptian god that he worships.
Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah, so he's kind of like a crazy religious zealot.
I
Sometimes they
know.
have them out there. In
I
the
know
desert,
that the god's name. It's Ananka.
Well, Ananka is the princess. Yeah.
Oh.
The god is a Ranman Ra or something like that. I watched this movie a couple of days ago, and that's pretty much from my recollection what it is. Now he's making a big mistake here.
Okay.
He's making a big mistake here because he has removed now the scroll of life and death, which opens up the little cabinet there. Well, actually, it's a pretty big cabinet.
It's a tomb that opened.
It holds a 7-foot mummy in it, because Christopher Lee was very tall. He was like 7 foot. So
I know.
Yeah.
And that's also very unusual because the Egyptians back in that time, they were tiny, very short. So
that's a good thing to say here. That's interesting.
Casting a very tall actor to play this part, it's a little bit ridiculous because all mummies that have been found are tiny.
Yeah, you can't get too scared of a 5-foot mummy though, So yes, so if you chase people around,
but that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood.
You'd be popping them on the head,
Yeah, that's Hollywood. But if you keep it to the real facts, mummies are supposed to be short.
If you're doing a training film, you want a monster that's gonna, be scary.
Right, right.
They had this problem with the green slime. They had these 5-foot monsters, and nobody was really scared of them when they.
Okay.
So anyway, you are very insightful. I must add.
Thank you.
You're on top of this stuff. I love it.
I do have a PhD.
I like having a guest who knows what to look for. That's really kind of, what do I call it? I'm not going to say a mistake, but maybe like an anachronism or something that doesn't seem to belong.
I know. It did irritate me when I watched the movie, but, what can I do? Not everyone is educated like me. I have a PhD, so, I consider myself a very intelligent person.
Archaeology.
Yes.
Yeah, so here's what happens. The uncle goes back to the son to tell the son because he's got a bum leg and he's on a cot. Okay. And when that happens, they hear the scream of the father because the mummy has come out of the cabinet. We're going to see this later in a flashback. And when the uncle goes back, the father is just batshit crazy.
I know. He lost his mind.
That's my technical term for it.
He lost his mind. He went loony.
Yes. Loony. Very good. So let me say right now that we do say bad words on the show sometimes. This is not for kids.
Is loony a bad word?
There's graphic, gory stuff on the show. Not so much this show because it's an older movie. But the Hammer films did have a lot of blood in them normally. This one is surprisingly bloodless for a Hammer film. If it was Frankenstein or Dracula, man, there'd be blood all over the walls. It'd be everywhere. Yes. So most of the damage that happens it happens in the mummy, actually. They shoot him, they poke holes through him, they do a lot of damage to the mummy, but you don't see any blood. You like sand coming out of it. Anyway, I digress again. But anyway, we do adult stuff on this show. And we do a timeline of the movie from beginning to end. So there's spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled, the ending of the movie, don't watch till the end. There it is. That's what I was waiting for. So they blow, they a couple weeks later, the father's been sent to a sanitarium. They blow up the opening to the shrine again to close it up because they've taken all the good stuff. They're going to put it in museums, and then they pan over to the guy in the red fez, and he's making his evil plans with the god that he worships to get revenge for their desecrating the grave.
He was upset. Yes.
Yes. So 3 years later in England, the father is in a mental sanitarium, and he comes to. He kind of starts talking again. He was catatonic. But he starts talking again. So the guy who's the head of the sanitarium there calls in Dr. Banning and his lovely wife, French actress. You said it earlier.
I did. What was her name again? Just hold on.
Sorry.
And
I want to say Yvette Monlar, but she was in Brides of Dracula.
her name was. Oh wait, hold on. Her name
Oh, there
was
we go. There we go. Yvonne Furneaux. Yvonne Furneaux.
Yvonne Furneaux. Yes.
Yeah. Yvonne Monlar was in Brides of Dracula with Peter Cushing, and again, they picked the nicest French actresses for these movies.
Yes.
So he's talking to his father, and his father tells him about the mummy, and says the mummy's after him. And his son is like, well, I'm sorry, Father, but you're batshit crazy, and I'm sorry, I just can't believe you.
Well, actually,
and he says, you're a fool.
Actually, it's been a while since he was able to speak to his father,
right?
Because during the 3 years, his father was really out of it. He had lost his mind, and suddenly he remembered his son, and he wanted to speak to him.
Right.
So that was really, really surprising. So he was delighted to have a conversation with his father. But then what happened? Tell us, John.
Called him a fool. You're a fool, John. That's my best impersonation of the father.
Yes.
So then we get these two drunken sods who are delivering a large crate to a new Egyptian guy that moved into the neighborhood. So we know what's in that crate.
We sure do.
And it's going by the sanitarium where John's father is. So when it gets to the place where it's close to the actual sanitarium, the horses start acting up. It's all, storming and windy and everything. And the box starts to bang around in the back of the cart. And it falls off into the swamp there. Because usually when you build a sanitarium, you want to build it next to the swamp.
The first mistake they did is giving that responsibility to these two fools.
Yes. They're the
drunken fools.
So the father somehow realizes this is not good.
Nope.
This storm and this carriage going by and this box falling off the carriage into the swamp next to his sanitarium is not good.
No.
So he's freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the box coming off the cart.
Yeah.
And boom, right into the bog.
In the water.
Now this particular set of this swamp bog, what have you, I believe it was created early on for the Hammer version of Sherlock Holmes and the Hound of the Baskervilles, which also had Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing in it. And they decided, hey, let's write another movie around this bog. That's my feeling.
Right.
Well, it is a great set. Let's use it. So the next day, when it's light out, we have the police constable there for the area talking to the drivers. And they're like, well, yeah, the box came and fell off a cart, it's down in the bog. And, it's a sad thing. And then the guy with the red fez shows up. And then he says, I'm the owner. I'm the owner of that box. Of and the constable says, well, what was in the box? And he just says, Egyptian relics. Which he's not lying.
No.
He's not lying.
No.
He's just not telling the whole truth.
Right.
Well, it's a hell-bent mummy, is going to kill people. Right. He's not going to say that,
He likes keeping secrets. He has a plan, I told you. He has an agenda.
So, okay, so we know the father flipped out the night before, so Peter Cushing is called in again. I'm just going to call him Peter Cushing. I know his name's John Banning, but he's Peter Cushing. And the doctor goes, well, we had to, put him in a padded room. Oh, are you sure you needed to do that? Yeah, he's pretty nuts. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
They put him in this room where it's soundproofed, so he can stay there quiet and not disturb the other.
Well, that's the thing, is surprisingly, this particular padded cell has a window to the outside bog.
Right.
Which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to build a sanitarium next to the bog, okay, I'll give you that one. But why put a window in a padded room? A window that can be broken through.
The entire room was padded, so it would be soundproof. So he won't disturb the others, the other patients. But what ended up happening is they put a window right there, conveniently, for someone to come in.
With glass.
With glass, yes.
So the guy with the fez opens up the scroll of life and death, which he stole from the tomb there when the mummy first came out.
Right.
We're going to see that later in a flashback.
Yes.
And he brings up Karis. Karis is the mummy, the 7-foot mummy. And here we finally get to see a real good shot of Christopher Lee as the mummy, Karis. He comes up out of the bog. Poor Christopher Lee had to go up and down and in and out of that bog several times in this film. Couple times.
Yes.
So up he comes and rises out of the bog. He's nice and muddy and dirty, and he looks like a good mummy.
Yes.
And our Egyptian guy says, "Go kill the first guy. Go kill the first guy now. Go kill the father.
Yes.
He's in the sanitarium. You should be able to get through the window to his padded cell. It's okay. It's good. It's all good."
How convenient, you know. He was in that room. No one could hear him scream for his life. So I thought that was genius, you know. Let's put him in a room where we, can't hear him scream.
From the window.
If he needs our help, we'll just ignore this patient in this room. And then they put
they could have played that up. Yeah, that would have been interesting. You know, other patients screaming, yelling, and everything, and they're like, shut up.
Well, the guy who put him in that room said, "You're in here for a reason, so we won't hear you scream and disturb us." So they purposely put him in there. But they didn't know.
Of course, they can hear him outside.
Well, they didn't know that there would be an intruder.
We're going to put you in the room with a window.
Yes, so good luck to you.
The mummy will get me. Please don't put me in the room with the window.
You know, he did have a fit earlier. The reason he had his fit was because he knew the mummy was coming after him. They all thought he was crazy when he smashed the window, remember? Remember that in the beginning of the film? General?
So they put him in another room with another window. That's good.
Yes.
I'm sure they had other padded cells that didn't have windows.
That window was very high and it had bars, but still, it was still a window. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, that was just my little comment.
So the mummy comes in and sure enough, breaks right through the window.
Look at his face. Look at his face.
He looks a lot like Donald Pleasance, the father here.
Yes.
You know who Donald Pleasance is? He was in all the Halloween movies, training films.
Yes, he does.
He's probably his father. That's probably his father.
Could be.
I don't know. He looks very Donald Pleasance there, especially there. Let me see if I can find the actor's name.
Cute PJs.
Felix Aylmer. No, maybe not.
You're looking for his name.
Stephen Benning.
You're looking for his name. I had it here open, but I lost it. Hold on.
Yeah. Again, I usually know the regulars that do these training films for Hammer. Like Michael Ripper is in this as the poacher. Michael Ripper is in just about every Hammer film ever made.
Isn't it his name Felix?
What's that?
What's his name? Felix?
Elmer? His name.
Felix Elmer? Is that his name?
Yes, Felix Aylmer.
Okay,
He plays Stephen Banning.
That's correct, yes.
Mm-hmm. And Raymond Huntley is his brother.
His brother, the uncle. Yes.
Yeah, Raymond Huntley. Joseph Wemple. His name's Wemple. That's a very British name, I guess. Is it? Is it not?
It sure is. And what I do like is that it's believable that they're brothers. They do look quite similar.
They do. They do look a lot
alike.
It
was a very
good casting.
Good casting.
That was good casting.
On their part. Yes.
Now, here's the mummy move. He goes with the left hand and strangles. And that's his move. This mummy.
Right. That's
left hand strangle.
That's how he kills everyone.
He holds you down to the bed, he holds you down to the desk, and he strangles you.
Yes.
Crushes your windpipe.
And what I do find interesting is how he looks all muddy and wet.
Yes.
And he stays like that for a long time.
He should have dried, huh? He should be dusty and dry.
They kept him wet and gooey, which is terrible.
That bog, I'm telling you.
Just reminds me of when I go to the spa and they put me in all this green muddy stuff.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Got some cucumber on him. Now they have a little inquest about the death of the man and they were like, well, he's dead. Basically, that's kind of like what it's like.
Right.
He was killed.
Clearly,
obviously, he was murdered by a madman.
clearly
somebody broke into the sanitarium. A madman broke into the sanitarium. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
And killed one person and walked away.
Clearly, they didn't care about his death. Right.
That's pretty obvious.
Right. They just
and you can see that on the
wanted to-
faces of the family here.
Right. They were devastated, but the others they clearly didn't care, and they just wanted to move on from all this drama. That's all they cared about, to move on.
And here is where Banning, Peter Cushing, shares that the father was telling him about the mummy. Said there was an Egyptian mummy supposedly after him.
Right. Right. I do remember.
And they're like,
part.
"You don't believe that, do you?" He's like, "I don't know what to believe." And that's when he tells his uncle about the story of Karis.
Right. Right.
And we get the obligatory mummy flashback where the actor who's playing the mummy gets to show his face.
Ooh.
So this is where the actor actually gets to show himself acting without a bunch of bandages all over him.
Right. Can you imagine being covered in all that while you're filming? Can you imagine how difficult that must be to be covered in all that mud?
What usually happened was they would make a mummy suit that zipped up the back, and you can actually see the zipper on this mummy suit pretty clearly in
You're
scenes.
kidding me.
And then they would just do the head. They would make gloves, a mummy suit, and gloves, and then they would just do the head. So they'd do makeup on the head, which would take about 3 hours, and then put the mummy suit on, and then.
And you noticed the zipper in the back.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty noticeable.
General, you notice all the little details.
Well, and again, in the old Lon Chaney mummy movies, they pretty much did the same thing.
I like that. I like that you notice little details like that.
And
I'm very
that
detail-oriented myself.
zipper wasn't as noticeable.
Oh, well, I didn't notice it, and I notice everything. So
Dick.
very, very happy that you noticed.
I was Jack Pierce. Jack Pierce did the original mummy for Universal, and his mummy zipper didn't show as much.
I see.
They were pretty good about shooting around it. So Peter Cushing tells the story of Karis, played by Christopher Lee. And they start with some pictures that are on the desk there, and they go right into the flashback. And this is actually the story of Ananka, and how she died in the desert while they were en route to someplace. And they went through a very elaborate ceremony to preserve her and bury her. The ceremony took a couple weeks.
Right.
I think it's 3 weeks they had to, put stuff on her to preserve her body.
From what I remember, they kept her heart in a box. So
Yeah, they usually do that.
her body was mummified, but they take all the organs out from the body. But they kept the heart. Heart doesn't get destroyed. Keep it in a box. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
They remove all the organs, including the brain.
Right,
The brain comes out of the nose.
correct.
Okay?
And they put them in jars.
However, so after they're done mummifying the body, they do keep the heart. And they put it in a box. Now, we don't know why they do this. Must have a reason. I haven't figured that out yet.
When you're cooking a chicken, you usually take the giblets out. What do you expect me to say to that?
No, but well, that's the thing. Why do they keep the heart in a box? And
Obviously,
when
it has something to do with the preservation. You take out those parts.
all the internal
And she doesn't look like
organs-
she's had her.
all the internal
I don't know if that
organs-
happened here.
All the internal
is what I'm
organs get
saying.
removed, but except
Because
for
she
the
doesn't
heart.
look like she's had her brain ripped through her nose. She looks pretty peaceful, actually.
She looks beautiful.
Yes.
She looks like she's sleeping. She doesn't
So-
look like she's dead. No.
Yeah. Well, and as we know, Karis has had an affair with the princess, and he loves her,
Of course he did.
and he wants to revive her with
Yes.
a sacred. He's like a high priest, medicine man
Yes,
kind of
yes.
guy. And
do you blame
he
him?
wants to revive her with an old ancient forbidden ceremony
Do you
that he's going
blame
to do.
him? Do you blame him?
She's a hottie.
She's beautiful. Did you look at the other
She's a
women
hottie.
over there?
What can I say?
Look at the other women over there. There wasn't not a lot of other options for him.
Well, they all get killed.
They sure do. Right?
Everybody here gets killed, which is not good. But they don't want anybody to find her secret resting place. So yeah, all these guys march in, and
Everyone who was part of the ceremony dies for the exact same reason you just explained. They don't want anyone to reveal the secret place.
Right.
that
The
she
secret
was
resting
buried
place
in. Yes.
of the Princess Ananka.
Ananka. Yes. So he hypnotizes all these people, and then he has them, his soldiers, or actually, it's not his soldiers. I believe maybe
There are other
slaves.
priests. Yeah,
Priests?
they're kind of like lower level tier priests from him.
right.
He's the high priest.
Okay, so he tells the other
They're the ones that
priests-
actually catch him.
Right. And they kill all these witnesses that were part of the ceremony. It's quite sad.
It's like, he's trying to have sex with a dead body. Come on, guys.
That's so creepy.
Yes.
Very creepy.
So there he goes. Here he is breaking the seal to get back in the tomb so he can revive her. He takes the scroll of life and death. He opens up her crypt. Look at she's been preserved with something. And as he's doing this ceremony, her eyes actually move in this training film. It's kind of blinks a little bit, like she's going to wake up. But then the other priests come in and go, "What are you doing?" So now they decide, we're going to cut his tongue out so he doesn't tell anybody what happened here. We're going to mummify him. We're going to wrap him up. And, if I was that guy, I'd be fighting my ass off to get out of there. But he's just basically letting it happen.
Yes, for a
I guess
7
because
feet
he's getting
tall
buried
man.
with his love. I don't.
For a 7 feet tall man, he's quite gentle.
They usually put the heart in a box. She's laughing about that. Patty. Cadet Patty.
Hi, Patty. Hi. Nice to meet you.
So they're the lower level priest is putting the scroll of life and death in its little spot, and it closes the door up on Karis.
Right.
So
And
he is
that's-
buried alive.
That is
He
what
is.
the father touched and opened in the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he lost his mind.
Yeah, well, he pulled it out, and the mummy came out of the cabinet.
Right.
He
right.
came out of the closet.
He discovered that first. He touched it. He took it from that little place they had, designed for it to be there, and he interrupted it. He touched it. He took it. And that's how the mummy got out.
I just want to say, look
Is that how it-
on the uncle's face after he's heard this tale.
General,
This is
was
the
I
look of-
wrong? Was
you're
I wrong
kidding,
when I
right?
explained that? Did I explain it right? I could be wrong.
No, you did a good job of explaining. Yeah.
Right? Is
I
that
just
what
didn't want that
happened?
slide to slide by without me saying that because
Oh, okay. I'm going by memory, and I did fall asleep while I was watching this movie. It's so,
which is
so-
always a good sign of a
I-
training film.
I'm so sorry. It's not because the movie was not good. It's because I was tired.
I see.
And
Understood.
I was watching it late at night, so there's some.
You wanted to
parts-
do a little slumber yourself. Understood.
There's some parts in the movie that are a little blurry, and I was in and out of sleep. So hopefully I'll remember most of it.
So the Egyptian guy revives Karis, and he sends him out
yes.
to kill the uncle, the
Yes.
second conspirator, if you will. And there's Michael Ripper. He's a poacher. He's clearly a poacher, and he's trying to catch rabbits illegally on somebody's property. And the mummy goes by, and he's like,
Yes.
"What the hell have I been drinking?" So he goes right to the pub, which is what you normally do after you see a monster. And hey, hair of the dog that bit you, man.
They all look like they drink a lot.
But it's important that you see that scene because he explains to everybody else, "I saw a mummy walking through the woods."
They
or
all
walking
think
through
he's
the
out
bog."
of his mind because they know
And,
that he drinks.
there's an inspector that goes and inspects later, this story about mummies and stuff. And he starts getting all these stories from different people in the area that they saw a mummy, or that they had dealings that, lead to there's a mummy somewhere.
Right.
So, okay. So the mummy breaks the door down now of Banning's house. He breaks the door down, completely destroys the door. And he does the strangle, he does the left-handed strangle on the uncle.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
John Banning, who's limping around, he's gimpy. He's limping around. He goes to his gun cabinet, gets a gun, shoots the mummy a couple times, point blank range. Mummy still goes, keeps moving.
There he is again.
Yeah.
Looking dreadful.
He looks a little drier there, though. He's not.
He does.
He's not gleaming.
Finally, they decided, you know what? It's enough time that elapsed. Maybe it's time where we put him in another suit where he looks dry. But he does look really creepy, and
it's just that
he has that one move, where he grabs everyone by the neck like this.
It's just that long drying mud that just won't dry.
Right.
It's finally drying.
It's finally drying.
So yeah, he shoots it, and sure enough, dust clouds popping off the mummy, but he's still moving. And I mean, it's clearly a mummy. There's no other. You just saw a mummy kill your uncle.
Right.
and
in denial.
It broke my door down. Okay, so I'm
Those
telling you.
Those are beautiful doors. Those are beautiful English doors. What a shame. He destroyed the doors.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful house.
Well, mummies do that. They break through windows. They break through.
I know, but
doors.
I was just looking at the house. How
they break through
beautiful it is.
drywall.
Yeah, he just destroyed the entire house.
And he keeps shooting at him. He keeps hitting him too.
That won't work.
So yes, now we know you don't shoot a mummy. Okay.
No.
Right, we've got that in our head right
pointless.
now.
It's pointless. It will die.
Bullets are not stopping him.
Nothing.
Okay?
Arrows, bullets. Nothing will kill this thing.
So here's where it gets really absurd. The inspector comes. He tells him it was a mummy. Look at my door. He broke down my door. Actually, he doesn't say that. He should have. What else would do that? And the guy's like, I don't believe you. I can't believe it. There's no way. I saw it with my own eyes. But they didn't do that. They didn't have that conversation. Peter Cushing is polite to him. Oh, okay, you don't believe me. I understand. Well, then he tells what he thinks happened in the crypt. And we finally get the scene where his father pulls the scroll out. We actually see the door open and the mummy comes out and scares the living crap out of him.
Yes.
Scares his wits right out of him. There he is.
There he is.
So then we see the Egyptian guy come in, put the mummy back in his closet, and take the scroll. He takes the scroll.
Right.
So all of that happens here. Father reading the scroll. Then the father thinks that he brought him back to life. And he might have. He was reading the scroll. So if you're in an Egyptian tomb and you find a scroll, don't read it out loud.
No. Bad idea.
Not a good idea.
No.
No, it's thundering and lightning out here. Oh, a mummy might come through my window behind me, all right?
Look at him looking all dreadful.
He looks very dry there.
Oh, he does, yes. The mummy's finally...
He's been in the cabinet for a couple thousand years.
Right.
So there's the Egyptian guy. Ah! Oh, hey, it's a mummy.
Doesn't he look a little bit like Eddie Murphy?
I actually thought that when I was watching
this. Is it just me?
No, I thought that when I was watching this too. I could see definitely Eddie Murphy doing a spoof of this.
Let me tell you something. At first, I thought it was him. But I'm like, hold on. This movie was made back in 1959. There's no way that's Eddie Murphy. I had to take a closer look. And then I realized it's not him. But boy, do they look similar. So similar.
Get the hell out of here, man. He is a mummy man. He's wrapped up in bandages. He's going to kill you.
I mean, everything. His mouth, the mustache, the eyes. They could be brothers.
I see that they're coming out with a new training film for the Haunted Mansion, by the way, since you mentioned that.
Oh,
so they're going to totally erase Eddie Murphy's Haunted Mansion with a wonderful cameo by Jennifer Tilly. Anyway.
What's happening here?
He's
Who's
taken.
that?
He's put the father face down over the crypt, and he's grabbing the scroll.
Oh man.
He's
Poor
taking the.
man.
So yeah. So when the uncle comes back, he has to roll the father over, and then the father's
You
crazy.
know, I would like to make a parenthesis here.
Sure.
What I do love about this movie is how well dressed the men are in this film.
Wonderful costuming. Hammer Films.
I love that they're so well dressed with suits and clean shirts
Ah,
and ties, and they speak so eloquent, and
Yes.
they have good haircuts. They all look beautiful. You know, we don't see people dressed up like this anymore. You see, back in 1959, people took pride in the way they dressed and the way they looked, the way they
this
sounded.
is period dress. This is 1980 or 1890s. So yeah, this is turn of the century stuff here.
You're absolutely correct. I did forget
So,
about
and
that.
Hammer did their wardrobe people did a very good job with
Yes.
costuming in these
I mean,
movies.
yes, the film was
All of them.
It was
All of
filmed back in 1959, but the time period was back in 1859 or 1858. Was that is that the year? Or 1890? 98?
Yeah, something like
It
that.
was 1895.
I think it was
perhaps?
1895 and 1898. Yeah.
1895, and then 3 years later, when the
1898,
mummy,
yeah.
1898.
Pretty sure.
So that brings us back to a time where we can go back, like back in the future. You know the film Back in the Future with Michael J. Fox?
Yeah.
We can travel back in time and see how people used to speak and how people used to dress and communicate. Isn't that fascinating?
Well, again, if you hold this one up against the American-made, what's the one with Sean Connery, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, that was supposed to take place in at the turn of the century. Yeah, these look a lot more realistic than the costuming that you got in those films.
Right. I mean, they
Those
were
look
spot
like
on.
costumes from a stage production.
They were spot on and I see those details.
This looks real. This looks.
I pay attention
seriously
to
real.
this. Yes. So I just wanted to make this comment. If you didn't,
Well, I'm glad
mind.
you did.
Thank you.
So he goes on his investigation. He talks to Michael Ripper, as the poacher. He finds out that the guy saw a mummy. He talks to these guys. They're like, yeah, the box fell in the bog. It was there was an Egyptian guy that owned it. He said it was Egyptian relics. So he's like, oh, okay, that kind of ties in with the mummy story. And the constable basically does the same thing. He just corroborates the story.
Yes, he does.
That there's an Egyptian in the neighborhood and he might be killing people. So now he thinks it's an Egyptian guy, not a mummy. Even though Banning told him, I saw a mummy. The mummy broke through my door.
They're all in denial. They can't believe it.
So he's going to send Karis out now to kill the last, which is John Banning, the last of the conspirators who desecrated Ananka's tomb. And Karis...
there's Eddie again.
I want you to go to his house. I want you to kill him, motherfucker. Sorry.
What you talking about? What you talking about? Oh, look
Come
at
on, Karis. Wake up, man.
Look at the
I'm talking-
eyes. Look at the
I'm talking,
eyes.
Karis.
Look at his eyes. They're kind
Yes.
of like, I don't know. It gives me goosebumps. The way he looks, his eyes.
Christopher Lee did a good job of playing different kinds of monsters. I mean,
Right.
he really knew what he was doing. He was tall. He was impressive. And again, in the Hound of the Baskervilles, he plays Henry Baskerville. He's very impressive in that as well.
Right.
That's one of my favorite versions of the Hound of the Baskervilles is the Hammer version. So here we go. So at his desk, he's looking at a picture of Ananka, a sketch of Ananka. Evidently, they were very good sketch artists back in the Egyptian times.
And did you realize she looks so similar to his wife?
Yes. Well, that's what he's saying right here, right now. He's like, "Oh,
Yes.
you know what? She looks like my
Oh,
wife."
look,
Yeah.
there she is. With
And
the
she
long
comes
hair.
in with her hair down, and he's like, "Look at this, honey. She looks just like you." And he's like, "Yeah, yes, you're right, dear. She looks just like me with my hair down. Isn't that lovely?"
Right.
And he sends her back up to her room
Of course he does.
after this.
This is 1898.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on.
Women had no part in the office. You know,
Well,
back
yeah,
then
he
women had to
realizes
just
that
obey
somebody
their
is going to
husbands.
kill him next. He knows he's the next target.
Of course, he's next.
So he
and
doesn't
he's
want
after
her to
him.
be. He doesn't want her to be hurt. You know, when he's playing bait to whoever's trying to kill, and he knows it's a mummy.
The irony is, though,
He knows it's a mummy.
The irony, though, is that she ends up saving him.
Yes,
He wanted to
Yeah.
save her, but what ended up happening was she saved him.
but they're having a little fantasy here now before the mummy comes. You know,
Right,
because they're like,
right.
oh, you look just like an Anka, dear. Oh,
Right,
isn't that
right.
isn't that lovely? Ooh,
Right.
maybe we should play this one out, dear.
Yes, we should.
She even lights a cigarette for him here.
Oh wait, it reminds
see
me.
that?
It
She's
reminds
into it.
General. It reminds me. Is it okay if I take a smoke?
You can if you like. Yes.
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do the
Oh,
whole
yes.
Ananka.
It's definitely time for me
Thing.
to smoke now.
But
Are
no,
we
he's
going
like,
to
no,
see-
I
are we
can't do
going-
this. I can't do this.
Are we
It's too
going to
dangerous. You
see?
go
Are we
upstairs.
going to see anything more? Is it just a kiss that we'll see?
Yeah, that's all you get.
Oh,
Because he has his conscience tells him send her up for a room. You know, it's too dangerous. And then what does he do? He goes and gets a gun. Now we've already established
this man.
guns don't work.
This man is not very intelligent.
He's got a death wish.
Oh, there he is. He's coming now. He's coming.
Yeah, Karis is
Get
on his way.
ready.
Does he look wet?
I don't know. He's in the
I think Peter
dark.
Cushing got a little moist.
I can't see.
Thinking about that
his-
Ananka thing.
I can't see his face.
Yeah.
Oh, look. He plays chess.
He's going
I
to a
love-
mummy
I-
fight with a gun.
I love playing chess.
Oh, are you a good chess player?
Oh,
Interesting.
I've won many awards in my youth. I was a champion in my school, you know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Ever played against AI?
rather play with humans, you know.
There we go. So
look,
he
he's
busts
right
through.
there.
He busts through the French doors. Yeah, because it's easier. And I would think that he would go through the front door because it's already been busted into, but now he goes through the French doors. I like to break through things
He keeps destroying
because I can.
He keeps destroying this lovely home, you know. What a shame. What a shame.
Looks like he's about to knock over the home. God, I just screwed that up.
The
The
columns,
home
the-
entertainment system. Doesn't it look like there's a couple of speakers there?
No, those are not speakers.
I know it's something from 1898, but I for the life of me, I can't see it. Anyway,
They're just paintings, aren't they?
Paintings? Two
Yes.
paintings the same size, exact
Yes,
same
they
size.
used to put paintings like everywhere on the walls back then.
Yeah.
Every inch had to be covered in painting.
Can't get away with just putting a black curtain behind you like I do.
No.
All right, so Karis is there. We better start zipping through this thing because we only got 10 minutes left. He shoots at Karis. Duh! Goes right through him. Karis keeps coming. He's going to do the left-handed strangle. That's his wrestling move.
Oh no.
There it is.
Look, he does it again. Grabs him by the neck.
I'm not sure if Christopher Lee had had it in his contract, but he is strangled in just about every Hammer film.
What?
Dracula
that's-
strangles him in Horror of Dracula. Baron Meister strangles him in Brides of Dracula. And again, he always sticks his tongue out. He does a great job of looking like he's being strangled. He really does. And that's when the wife comes in.
Oh, and
What are you
now-
guys doing?
This is the part. This is important. Let me explain it quickly. I know we only
All
have
right.
10 minutes, but we may have to go over.
We got 11. Go ahead.
Sorry. So this is the part where he looks at her. And guess what? Since she looks so similar, right, to Ananka,
He's like, what a hottie.
he's like, no. He's like, it's her. He got confused. He thought it was
Ananka.
her.
It's my love.
Look at him. He went from evil to all sappy.
And he's like,
Sappy
look at
over.
me. God, I look terrible now. my mud just dried on my bandages. Gah!
Get her out of here.
So she's like, stop! And he listens to her.
Didn't I tell you? She will save the day and she'll save him, her husband.
Yeah. Yeah. We both watched this training film. I hope.
This part I remember. I was alert for when I was
You were
watching
awake
this.
for this part, huh?
I did wake up for this part. Yes, I did. I did take a snooze.
You must have heard him
somewhere.
crash through those
Listen, I told you I was
French doors.
I was in and out of sleep, but this part I do remember. Yeah.
It's important for villains to be well dressed.
I agree, Patty. I do agree. And look at her. Look how
Again,
gorgeous.
when the love of your life shows up, you don't want to be, covered in mud and bandages. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's just not good. Not good.
No.
Some girls like the bad boys, but that's taking a little far. So anyway, he listens to her and he walks away. He's embarrassed.
He
He
is.
just walks away.
He is.
Damn.
Look at him go.
I'll
Look
come
at
back.
him.
I'll look better, I
Look,
promise.
yes.
So, yeah.
Look, she's grabbing his neck and she's saying,
And he's
Darling.
grabbing his neck, which luckily it
grabbing his neck.
didn't get crushed in time.
right, he's grabbing
Yeah.
his neck and she's grabbing his shoulders.
She's grabbing
or
him around the
maybe-
shoulders. She's like, "You're
Or
still
the back
alive."
of his neck. Is it the back of his neck? Anyhow, she's
He
like,
thought you were a
darling,
loner.
are you okay? Are you okay, my love? And he's like, I almost died. He almost killed me.
Yeah, you saw it. It was a mummy, right? Tell
Now
the
do
inspector.
now do you believe me? Now do you believe me? Oh, who's this?
Tell the inspector. I got a little laryngitis now. So yeah, they tell the inspector, and this time the inspector's like, "Okay, I believe you," because I've talked to everybody in the town, and they basically say the same stuff. So all right, there's a guy dressed up as a mummy trying to kill you, and there's an Egyptian guy that's around here, and he's going to try to kill you. So don't go off policing by yourself, which we know. We just know when he says that John Banning is going to go off and start to piss off the Egyptian guy face to face. We know that's what's going to happen.
Right.
And it does. He says, I'll get the constable. I'll get some of the townspeople to come with guns. Because we know guns will work.
Right.
So Karis got a few more bullet holes in him. But the Egyptian guy is like, good, you did your job. And now you can rest Karis. We've appeased the gods. And Karis just sitting there. He can't talk. He doesn't have a tongue. But he's just not going to say anything. He's not going to do charades like, didn't kill him. He's because that would be silly, right?
Right.
So Karis just backs into his closet and says, yeah, go ahead and close it up because I screwed up big time.
You know, what I do find fascinating is that he's very, the mummy, that is, he's very obedient. You know, he does follow his instructions and he's quite bossy, but Mummy's like really, really accommodating to what he has to say.
Well, here's the thing. In the old
He's
Universal
not
films, the
aggressive
guy in
at
the red
all.
hat, the guy in the fez, used to have what was called Tana leaves. And Karis needed to drink the liquid from the Tana leaves just to be alive. So that was what kept him in line with these other guys. Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't just strangled this guy.
Because
He's a pain in the ass.
Well, that's the whole thing. If I was the mummy, and I was
make
a
a good
monster. Let's say I was the mummy. How come it sounds like I'm saying mummy? Anyways, mommy, whatever.
Mummy, I need to get
Mommy.
to the toilet, Mummy.
And I had this.
And you're from England.
Yes, I know I'm from England, but I don't know what's happening to me. I must be tired. But anyhow, if this gentleman, or whatever you want to call him.
I left you in 48 hours, by the way.
What?
That's what he's telling this guy. I loved you in 48 hours.
Right.
Wonderful.
But I'm saying about the mummy, how
Oh, okay.
he's
Yeah, sorry.
obedient. I would have punched him in the face. Just saying.
I would have done the left-handed strangle move on you right away.
I would have done that too. I would grab him from the neck and say, enough already. Don't boss me around. Enough.
And this is where Peter Cushing pisses him off by telling him that his god was a silly god. He was a silly god.
He was.
I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
Very
and the
thirsty.
people that followed that
Sorry, I'm
god,
very
they're silly
thirsty.
people. Now, again, logic would dictate that this guy, having him in the house, would just open up the cabinet and go, kill him, Karis.
Right.
But for some reason, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
He's got him right there.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. So maybe he's afraid that the cops will take him away. Then, you were the guy that got the mummy and killed him in your home. So, yeah. Anyway, he calls Karis out. Doesn't scold Karis. Karis, what's wrong with you? Why didn't you kill him the first time? You had your chance. Maybe he was afraid Karis would try to whack him. Anyway, this guy now is going out and killing the constable and the poacher and all the people that are in the watching the house. So Karis can get in there and kill him. And again, he's got a gun, 2 times now. Didn't work, but he's still got a gun. So Karis knocks out the inspector. So he's not dead. The inspector's still alive. The other guys got knifed by the Egyptian guy. So they are not alive anymore. And she's out there with the inspector, but he leaves her alone, which was, that was kind of cold. And she hears Karis break into the house. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The Egyptian guy lets him in the house. And then Karis comes face to face with Banning again. Banning shoots at him, and that's when the wife hears.
Don't you think
goes,
she looks over here in this scene? Okay, let's take a look at her.
Mhm.
Now, do you know the movie Home Alone?
Yes.
Do you know the mom that played in that movie? Do you know
Catherine
who-
O'Hara.
Yes, Catherine O'Hara. Doesn't she look
Kevin!
like her? Doesn't she look like her right here? Right in this scene?
No, I'm not getting that.
No, you're not. Well,
Yeah, no,
I
I'm not
don't know. I see it.
So he's doing the left-handed stranglehold again.
There he is again doing the same exact
Yeah,
same
see there his
move.
tongue's coming out. And then she comes in and he says, take down your hair! Take down your hair!
Right. So
Which
he can
does. And then
so
the
he
guy with
can
the
think
fez
of
comes in and
another.
goes, what the hell? Where'd this woman come from? Why she look like an ocker?
Eddie Murphy comes in and says, do that again.
What the hell is this bitch doing here? Messing with my mummy.
Take down your hair.
So the mummy, he's in love with Ananka, so he basically picks up the guy and breaks him in 2.
Yeah.
So, which is what we expected earlier on.
Right.
And we get reaction shots from everybody on that. And the inspector comes in. The mummy grabs the wife, by the way, and takes her out. He's got what he wants. I'm gonna take you out to the swamp, baby.
I'm gonna take you out of the swamp, baby.
We're gonna get moist. So there he goes. It's time for the hot tub, baby.
That was so good. That was so good. I mean, that was so good, General.
So he's out
I
there
have
in
to
the
put back
bog.
my glasses. I'm getting out of character.
Try
I'm
not
getting
to get her
tired.
dress wet, I guess. And Doctor, what was that? And he tells her from the sideline.
Sorry, I said I almost got out of character.
Oh, really?
I was so fascinated when you were doing Eddie Murphy. I lost track of who I was.
Okay, go back to that slide of her looking up at him, please.
Look,
Now, how can you refuse a look like that? Baby, put me down, please, baby. Come on now. Put mama down. So he's told her, tell the mummy to put you down. Then get down, because there's guys with guns. Guns don't work on him, but we're going to shoot him anyway. Because we got a lot of guns. Now, you might get caught in the crossfire. But there it is. So he puts her down. She gets down and goes to the right. Shoot him! Bam, 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 bam. And I don't know why, but the mummy went for the scroll of life and death before he left.
right.
I didn't even see him do it, I don't think, in the movie. But I saw him pick her up. But he grabs the scroll of life and death, which he has in his hand now. And of course, they shoot him, and for some reason, this time, the bullets work.
Now, how do you explain that?
I can't.
You cannot.
I can't.
Win it. You can't.
Only except for the fact that they kind of blew him apart because there was so many guns.
Look.
You know, if they had a lost rocket, which they didn't have back in the 1890s.
I find it very disturbing when you finish a movie. the whole time you're watching it, you're thinking bullets don't kill the mummy, and then they finish the movie with the bullets killing the mummy.
You're preaching to the choir.
Now,
maybe it's because he had the scroll of life and death in his hand.
Perhaps. I don't know. They didn't explain it, and it's irritating me. This type of details that irritate me watching a movie.
Maybe he sank in the swamp because the scroll of life and death only keeps him alive for a couple of minutes.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing I can come up with.
Right, that makes sense. But they didn't elaborate
they shoot
on
the
that.
hell out of him here.
Yeah, they did, and they
And he
didn't
goes down
elaborate
to the
on
bog.
that. Yeah, I don't like it when they don't explain little things like this. It's quite annoying, annoying.
And there he is rescuing his wife.
Yes.
And there's the mummy's hand going down into the bog.
Right, back where he came from.
Well,
Look, with his hand sticking out.
I mean, he came from Egypt, but
oh yes, but
yeah.
I'm saying how the movie
yeah.
started with him coming out from there. Yes.
but yeah, there's a box down there he can sleep in.
Yes. He'll rest in peace now. And I believe that's how the movie ends, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
I don't like the ending. I did not appreciate the ending.
It was kind of abrupt. They're like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're at an hour and a half. We gotta close this.
They wasted
gotta close
so
this
much
shop up."
time. They wasted so much time. Some, details that were not necessary. And then they just rushed. They rushed at the end. It was a very abrupt ending. I didn't enjoy the ending. No, I did not.
Hammer films had abrupt endings. They really did. I mean, the
that.
end of Brides of Dracula was so abrupt. I mean,
I know.
he jumps the cop. He jumps on a windmill, turns it into a cross, a shadow of a cross on the vampire, kills the vampire. Boom, end of movie.
I don't like that. I love endings, and the ending has to be enjoyable and leave you with a sense of either shock or joy or horror, whatever. This just left me feeling empty inside. I didn't enjoy it.
And end of Horror of Dracula. Van Helsing runs across the table, pulls the curtain down. The sun comes up, zaps the vampire.
Right.
Kills Dracula. So,
Well, this was-
yeah, they do end abruptly. You have a lot of stuff going on for an hour and 28 minutes, and then they have like a 2-minute end.
Right. You can do a lot in an hour and 28 minutes, but I don't think they did a good job with the timing of the film, the events. They should have made the ending a little bit more powerful.
Blame the editors. Blame the writers.
Yes.
Okay,
The
Major Willie
directors.
Hazzard is here with us.
Yes, we are 10 minutes over, and Sandy's waiting to start her show, so we got to get going. We're supposed to be
All
on
right.
Sandy's show. Bye, everybody.
Okay,
Make sure you
bye.
stick around for
Keep
no
an eye on those big monsters.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.